I went to a play last night. How'd you like to hear my review of Jesus Christ Superstar? See how my Easter carrot is going. Oh my God, it's gone. Empty tomb.
Drop your weapons. Oof. Fight for the Empire. Oof. All right, men. Load your weapons.
How's it? Hang loose. Welcome to Mongoose Max Hawaii, the channel. Hello, this is Good Friday. Good Friday, which is a national. Well, I think it's a national holiday, but it's definitely a state holiday. Check your local listings. The holiday status of Good Friday. Good Friday, in which Jesus Christ of Nazareth was killed in a kind of public torture execution style of the ancient Romans. Basically being... Easy there, trooper! Being nailed up on the cross and dying for our sins, if you're a Christian believer. And if you're not, hey! Oh gosh. I noticed my Easter carrot is gone. I was part of my little thingy. I was going to see if it had some roots, and then it was going to grow, and it was going to be the Easter bunny carrot. And I suspect somebody. Anyways. Try not to get worried. Try not to turn on to problems that upset you more. Don't you know everything's alright? Yes, everything's fine. Except we got a new variant called XE, which is a combination of the old variant and the new variant, and it's even more super faster and spreading. Try not to get worried. Try not to turn on to problems that upset. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. That's right, this is a review. It's a review of Jesus Christ Superstar, the rock opera musical that was a Broadway play in 1971, and it ran until 1973. Well, it has been running till 73 when they made it a movie, and they cranked out an album, and it's still kicking today as a theater. It's in the theater. Hello. There's a okay. Need a thumbnail. Thank you for your patience. And I learned all kinds of interesting information from the program. Like, for example, Act 1, it starts off with the overture, the orchestra. If I do a cappella stuff, it's not copyright protected, so I'm good to go. And you're not. Because you're gonna go, no. So, yeah. It starts off at the theater, and let me show you that. Okay. This is the outside marquee of the Diamond Head Theater, and his inside, they allowed cameras. Yes, you saw the stage, and they did allow photography until they said no photography allowed whatsoever. Turn off your devices, or we're gonna come after you. We got a big cross backstage. Beware. No, but there, I snapped a shot of the set. I don't know, put you in the mood. But my little review of that play, I basically had a really great time. I was with my sister, her friends, and stuff like that. We went in there. We were masked inside. But I don't know. Wasn't that big of a deal. Especially since XE's out to get you now. Now, the play itself is basically, it's kind of structured Act 1, Act 2, and they had an intermission between, much like Side 1, Side 2 of the album. Pretty much. Now, if you know the movie, if you're familiar with the movie, they come in the big school bus down the desert, and they have these little scenes. Your Herod's race, your Herod's case, and then there's a scene change when there's a lot of film. So the film is longer than the play. So it's actually not that long. I think we got out of there a 2-hour thing with a kind of a hefty thing. So that's pretty short. It's like going to a flick, going to a movie. The cast is kind of ensemble, apostle, JC, because there's the crowd, the people crew, and the gang of apostles, and then there's the special Judas role in this depiction, which was probably initially controversial. We were talking about how controversial this was in '73, because that's when it really got hit the public attention, because it was in the movies. The era of the times was just after the 60s, okay, and pop festivals were all over the place in '67. They were even in the little town of Louisville, Texas, that I spent some years in. They had Led Zeppelin and B.B. King. Led Zeppelin played Louisville, Texas, and it's in the same vein as Woodstock and the one in the Monterey, whatever the one. And then so this is afterwards, right afterwards. But what are you doing with our Bible? And they had rock operas like here. So it's like the rock opera hippie era, and it's the story of Jesus from the New Testament. So it did create a stir, and I think some of the stir was its big role. Judas has an extended role. I went over my Judas role yesterday. Holy Thursday. Now it's Good Friday. This is a more significant day. Well, this whole Holy Week, but this is where, when Jesus dies on the cross, the Holy Bible is really telling you the guy's dead. Jesus is dead. They killed him on the cross, all the way dead. He wasn't faking it. It wasn't a hallucination. He was dead, and dead. They stuck him in that tomb, and they sealed it up and guarded it dead. They don't want us to take the body and nothing, this and that. I mean, there was a big emphasis on all the way dead. Good Friday. And if you know the story, starts in the morning, and on the 3rd hour, and on the 6th hour, and this kind of thing, and they calculate he actually died approximately 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And just 3 hours before, that's when everything went like noontime, everything went completely dark, and they wonder if there's a solar eclipse and an earthquake, and that stuff happened at noon, and he went, oh, I give up already at 3 p.m. Okay. All this story happens the day before, Holy Thursday, and first early morning. It's kind of like early morning Friday. Kind of, basically. So now this is a play review. What? Shut up already. Mongoose. Focus. But it's all tied in. Arg. My problem with this play, but it was a good play, the people in it did their best. Actually, if you compare it to the album, which was 2 years of seasoning on Broadway, 2 years, Broadway, that really, you have to have your chops down. And it's real professional. You're talking Broadway, New York. 2 years running. And then they did the album and the movie. So they had their thing down. And their characterization down, the singing down, the timing down. So if you compare any production to that, you're going to come up with what I came up with in this review. When you compare it, it sucks a little bit. There's not everything, but there's a couple of performances I thought that lacked. I asked other people and then said, no, it was great, it was fine. I'm like, what I know. That's why I do these shows. So, here we go. The main one was Judas, because he has such a great role, and I'm really fond of that role in the movie. You know, I forget the name of the actor or whatever. This is this black guy, and he's really doing this Judas thing. He's like, I told you. Because these different songs and stuff like that, and I can see clearly now. At last, I can see where we all soon will be. If you strip away the myth from the man, all that, and I just did a better job than this guy. I mean, he could sing, but he was kind of more like not a Gen Xer, more like a Gen Y guy, I think. I think he might have had Bruno influences. I don't know what Bruno sounds like, but singing influences, because this is like 50 years old, and the people that went to see it are kind of like a little bit older than me, my generation. They're like, I remember when it came out, and I remember, and half the age. Okay, you take this play and you cut it in two. That's 25 years old. That's about, and some of them were from high school. But they're fine. They're fine. And most of the women's roles were done very well. And there's one that was definitely standing out. So let's get more to the Judas thing. The Judas guy. Oh my gosh. The singing thing was really, really different. And there's parts where he's like, he can emphasize, and why did you? And because he has this thing with the Pharisees and Sadducees with the 30 pieces of silver. Take your blood money, but he interjected like shouting, like kind of. I don't know. It just didn't come across well. The Jesus Christ guy, he played JC there. He's a seasoned actor, and he's thrown in there. He's on loan from somebody else and stuff like that. He had a good voice, and you can tell he studied the original soundtrack. So he was trying to keep it true to the original soundtrack, and kudos to him for that. Because if you hear the original soundtrack, it's actually pretty good. And if you deviate from that, you got to be better than what you deviated from, If you got the original, if you're trying to stay true to the original soundtrack, and you alter it because you can't exactly read. Yeah, understandable. But if the original soundtrack is, and you're doing your own thing, you better be pretty good. And when you're sticking in there, not just, I'm doing my own thing because I don't know. But the JC guy played pretty good, sang really well and all that. And there's parts where it's like, yeah, but and then I didn't like his timing at a certain point because he looked like a stage actor who could sing and hit his marks and do the cues, and he had all this gesturing when he wasn't, so he was good at all that stuff, but he was not good at stage like dialogue. And so he rushed through, I don't know, at one point he was rushing through like hit this mark and hit this, I don't know. All of a sudden I'm the director, and I would have like, hesitate there, and so there was things like that, but it's good though. Aside from the Judas one, the main singing role was the pilot guy. In the play, they had this older guy. He sang with a very booming operatic. Who is this that look standing before me? Kind of style, and very big voice and booming and all that. I'm like, oh. But if you hear the album, the person who plays Pilot, he portrays the little scrawny, conniving pilot guy who's actually who's actually sympathetic to the Christ figure. So he's like, who is this? And he's doing the singing, and he has a good enunciation as well as all this, like something. There's one part he's like, answer. Answer, he's answer. Who is this broken man clattering up my whole way? Who is this unfortunate? It has like that flavor. And this guy's like, who is this broken maw cluttering up my way? And you're like going, oh, come on, shut the hell up. And everyone in the theater clapped. Shame. For shame. That guy, I'm going to be pretty harsh because I'm like, who is that guy? That was terrible, because it was terrible to me because it wasn't true to the pilot guy. And I looked in the thing, and he's I'm not gonna name names, okay? Because I'm just not gonna go. I'm not bashing them actors like that. I'm just like, hey, they did a good job. But this guy, and his name is Pilot in the play. He's the chairperson of the WHENevah music department. He's like the head music guy coming by from the UH. Like, oh my god. But what do you know? Just but the other one was that got me was but he was doing a good job, was the Caiaphas, because he has a very deep voice in the original, and this guy couldn't hit the low notes too well, but as he was trying to be that, and then the costumes, and he was dressed as a Muscovite, and Jesus had short hair, and nah, but whatever, just stage show. And this Caiaphas guy, the Ananias guy, Annas guy, was the other. Oh, the crowd! He did really well. Hey, I'm doing a video here, and the Caiaphas guy was like going, hitting the low notes. We must find a more permanent solution to our problem. And he couldn't hit that low. It's like, unfortunate. I was just thinking, diaphragm, man. The low notes require more air. Oh, I can't go that low. Oh, there's some notes that I can't hit either with that guy. And in the movie, if you watch it, I recommend it. Harold is played by this big fat guy. I'm getting too much. I'm overweight too, but this guy was just enormous, and he's like this kind of flappy, I guess, Jewish guy. He's portraying that, and he's like just opulent and he's frivolous, and he's like, this. And he was like, so this is Christ, and all this. And he has this dance number like going on with his, and Herod, palace cronies, I guess. Walk across my swimming pool, so you are the Christ, oh, the great Jesus Christ. And it's a fantastic number. And in this case, it was portrayed by a woman, a lady, and she was dressed in armored kind of gold glit, and she was brought out on a couch by her. There's all girls, and they brought her out, and they're all like glitzied out and everything, and she did a fantastic job. She did like pretty fantastic, it was awesome how she did it. So, and then when the girls done stuff in the dance number, they did like little tap dancing, like the roaring 20s tap dancing. It was classic. It was really good, except for when she got up and walked around and did she wasn't good with the blocking, and walking that way. But whatever. So I'm picky. And I think that just covers it. Now, is it true? I wanted to point out one little thing, not to make this too long, but this is Good Friday. Now, because the crucifixion scene, they got this cross and he's holding out the bars, and, he's like this. And he's like, oh. The thing about that is, he's up there, they have this commotion in the thing, and he's like, mercy, God, mercy, mercy, mercy. He keeps going, mercy, mercy, mercy. It's like, oh my God. It's not quite the kind of a depiction, I would think. It's just like, oh, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, I guess. And at the end, he's like, I give up my spirit. Boom. And that was that. And then the lights down. And then they kind of take him down. They put him on the front and center stage. And then Mary Magdalene comes by and holds his head. Oh. And then his mother comes up and is like, oh. And this is what I didn't like about this. Mary Magdalene's old. And then you expect, because they did the Last Supper bit, you know, they go up to the table. And not exactly, but yeah, they had the Da Vinci Last Supper pose. But then this one, you expect the Michelangelo Pieta pose. And she's like, the mother coming up. Oh, my son. And you expecting this pose to happen. But it's also the mother figure, Mother Mary of Jesus. Or Mary, Mother of Jesus. That one. So she's like, oh, coming up. But Mary Magdalene's like, she kind of edged her out. Because she had the face and the head. Oh, my good looking. It's like, she kind of did this. Like, oh. Like, almost cold shouldered her away. And this was this is the end scene. It was like, oh, he's dead. Oh, oh. And then scene and end. And then lights go down. And then all the actors got on stage. And then it opens up and they're all smiling, standing there going, hey. The ending's kind of weird, but it's the play. So, but in the real book, yeah, he suffered up there pretty bad. But here's only one thing I'll point out. There's different versions of his last words kind of deal. I won't get too far into it, but you got, you have the Matthew version of him saying Jesus, the actual Lord. Oh, you have the actual him saying, Elo, yeah, come on. He has Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani, with a question marks? Oh, yeah, question mark. Which is, my God, why have you forsaken me? That's Matthew. Eli, Eli. Now, on the Mark one, it's Eloi, lama sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? That's Mark. And the Luke one, he just says, Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. Different. And what they chose in the play was out of the John. If I it just says, I can find it. Where is it? He just says it is finished. That's the John one. So there's variations in the gospel, and they picked a lot of stuff out of John, I guess. And so that's the thing. Here's a little review. See, and then after the show, they came out. Oh, and afterwards is who played Herod. Oh, and the couch. Oh, wait, that's my sister. I love my sister. Thank you for. Oh, and here's the star of the play. It's JC himself waving, and here's Pilate in his big booming voice. Hey, he came out too. Oh, look, who wants to shake my hand? Wants my autograph? And the other person, oh, I get your autograph. Oh, I'll take selfies with you. Apparently, he's the star. And there's a couple of the guys that were kind of down left by the little hippies down there. And that's it. That's the fun. Yay. So, that's it. A little Good Friday and review. Bye now. Have a nice... Things are happening. Have a good Friday. Important. Thank you, Jesus. Someone's hammering in the background.